Julio Jones has been the best receiver over the past decade. Being a Falcons fan has allowed me to appreciate just how great he's been that much more. The fastest receiver to get to 12,000 yards, Julio Jones has dominated in ways that only guys like Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, and Calvin Johnson has only done before. A big-time playmaker at any given moment, he could get double or triple team coverage and still find a way to make the catch. Based on how he dominated in high school and college, this was expected of Julio Jones. Julio Jones was a 5-star recruit and was the #1 receiver in the nation in 2008. He would commit to Alabama, where he would play just 3 seasons and would instantly make an impact on their offense. As a true freshman, Jones had 58 catches, 924 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He was named an All-SEC player and won Freshman of the Year. Jones immediately caught the eyes of NFL scouts, and they started to compare him to the likes of Michael Irvin and Larry Fitzgerald. Fast forward to his junior year, where he had 78 catches, 1,133 yards, and 7 touchdowns, along with 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Julio Jones forgone his senior year and entered the draft, where he was taken 6th overall by the Atlanta Falcons in the 2011 NFL Draft. He would be paired with Roddy White to make a nice wide receiver tandem for the first part of his career. The 2011 draft was a very special one that had great players from top to bottom. 5 teams passed on Julio to fill a team need or get who they thought were the better player. A great example of this was the Carolina Panthers, who were just coming off of a 2-14 season and desperately needed a quarterback for the future. So they took Heisman winner Cam Newton 1st overall out of Auburn. Cam Newton's college career was a roller coaster ride to say the least. He started his college career off at the University of Florida, where he would play just 2 seasons before getting arrested towards the end of his 2nd season. After nearly getting expelled, Newton decided to transfer to Blinn College, a JUCO in Texas. In his 1 season there, he threw for over 2,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and had an additional 650 yards rushing. This helped him get to Auburn, where he would finish his college career with a Heisman Trophy and lead his team to their first national championship win over Oregon. As a rookie, he threw for 422 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first ever game versus the Arizona Cardinals. He ended up throwing for even more yards in the very next game too. Newton would finish the season with 4,051 yards and throw 21 touchdowns. Although Carolina had just 4 more wins than their previous year, Newton was able to get Offensive Rookie of the Year and was selected for the Pro Bowl. By year 3, the Panthers were 12-4 and made the playoffs for the first time since 2008. In his first playoff game, Cam Newton threw for 267 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, in a 23-10 loss to the 49ers, who went on to go to the Super Bowl. He would redeem himself in 2015, where he would have an even better season. In 2015, Newton threw for 3,800 yards and 35 touchdowns, with an extra 10 touchdowns on the ground. This allowed him to win league MVP. The Panthers as a team that year, with talent everywhere, had a 15-1 record. They got all the way to the Super Bowl, but Newton was shut down and Carolina lost by 14. Cam Newton hasn't been able to have that good of a season since 2015. That's also part of the reason why he hasn't been able to make a Pro Bowl since then too. For the past 2 seasons, Newton has been dealing with injuries that may eventually cause the Panthers to move on, even though I hope they don't. The team they played in the Super Bowl, the Denver Broncos, actually had the #2 overall pick, and they took Von Miller out of Texas A&M. A 2-time All-American in college, Miller came in as a defensive end and made the switch to outside linebacker pass rusher that we know him as during his junior year. He would have back-to-back double-digit sack seasons and lead the country in sacks with 17 in his junior season as well. Scouts began to compare him to Derek Thomas. As a rookie, he had 11.5 sacks, which helped him win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He would come back in his 2nd season and have 18.5 sacks with 28 TFLs. At one point, Miller was even considered as an MVP candidate as well. Just before the start of the 2013 season, Von Miller was suspended 6 games after news broke that he tried to cheat a drug test. The season in summary for him was a down year. He would return to play, but a torn ACL caused him to miss the rest of the season. Since that year, Miller has had 5 straight double-digit sack seasons, including the 2015 season where the Broncos won the Super Bowl and Von Miller won Super Bowl MVP. Miller is an 8-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, and Super Bowl champion. One could argue that he should have left Denver, but no one can argue that he'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. I don't think I can say the same about Marcell Darius, who went 3rd overall to the Buffalo Bills. Darius spent 3 seasons at Alabama, where he would declare for the draft right after his junior season. With the Bills, he started off his career pretty strong, with 28.5 sacks in his first 4 seasons at defensive tackle. He also was a Pro Bowler in back-to-back seasons and was even an All-Pro in 2014. But since his 10-sack season in 2014, Marcell Darius has never had more than 3.5 sacks in a season. Darius would spend 6 full seasons in Buffalo before being traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars midway through the 2017 season. He would spend another 2 seasons there, even though injuries would cut his 2019 season short. As of right now, Dareus is a free agent who will probably get picked up after the Jaguars declined his option. A player who won't be going anywhere, at least for another year, is AJ Green, who was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals out of UGA, 4th overall. He was the only receiver taken before Julio Jones. Another player who was an All-American, Green would join Andy Dalton in Cincinnati to fill the shoes of Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson. In his rookie season, he had 65 catches, 1,057 yards, and 7 touchdowns, and made the Pro Bowl as well. This helped the Bengals make the playoffs with a 9-7 record. The Bengals would go on to make the playoffs in 5 straight seasons. AJ Green was an integral part of the team, as he would be in the Pro Bowl 7 straight times in his career. He was at his best in 2016, where he was on track for 106 catches, 1,500 yards, and 6 touchdowns if his season wasn't cut short due to injury. Injuries have become more of a common problem with AJ Green at this point in his career. He's missed 33 games in his career, and 23 of those games have come between the 2018 and 2019 seasons. A franchise tag is going to keep Green in Cincinnati in 2020, but anything after that may be questionable. And finally, the last player taken before Julio Jones was Patrick Peterson, 5th overall by the Arizona Cardinals out of LSU. Peterson would easily become one of the best corners in the league, besides Richard Sherman, who was also in this draft as well. Being one of the consistent bright spots for the Cardinals, Peterson made 8 straight Pro Bowls to start his career and is also a 3-time All-Pro. Before the 2019 season, Patrick Peterson was suspended 6 games for using PEDs, which also made him ineligible for the Pro Bowl. The year before that, there had been talks of him requesting a trade to get out of Arizona. Peterson currently has 1 more year left on his 5-year, $70 million contract and will be a free agent in 2021. He'll stay with Arizona for this upcoming season, but like AJ Green, it may be questionable with whether or not he returns to his team. So in conclusion, the 2011 draft was loaded from top to bottom, and although the 5 players drafted before him were all Pro Bowlers at one point in time, 5 teams missed out on a generational talent at wide receiver. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, like and comment your expectations for Julio Jones and the Falcons next season, and if you like me, subscribe.